Hebrews 6 verses 9 to 12. Better things, a faithful God, and the long obedience of hope. Even though we speak in this way, beloved, we are confident of better things in your case, things that belong to salvation. For God is not unjust. He will not overlook your work and the love that you showed for his sake in serving the saints, as you still do. And we want each one of you to show the same diligence so as to realize the full assurance of hope to the very end, so that you may not become sluggish, but imitators of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. Hebrews 6 verses 9 to 12. After the thunder of warning comes the warmth of welcome. The preacher turns from those who fall away to beloved, and the air changes. The ground has been shaken, but not to make us despair, rather to make us listen. Now he gathers the trembling into tender assurance and calls them forward again, not with flattery, but with confidence grounded in evidence, not with vague optimism, but with a view of God so just and so gentle that hope can breathe again. Hebrews 6 verses 9 to 12 affirms the better things that accompany salvation, anchors assurance in God's righteous remembrance of love, and urges diligent imitation of the faithful until hope is full grown. First, better things that accompany salvation. Beloved, we are confident of better things, things that belong to salvation. The address is intimate, agapetoi, a pastor's hand on the shoulder. The persuasion, pesesmetha, is not guesswork, but settled conviction. Thayer notes the word's moral firmness. It is confidence with reasons. What are these better things? In Hebrews, salvation often carries a forward tilt, the full inheritance to be revealed, yet its reality is already present in those who possess new life. Calvin and Hendrickson observe that the contrast is deliberate, not the dazzling, temporary gifts that can be tasted and then abandoned, chapter 6 verses 4 to 6, but the abiding graces that always travel with true salvation. Bruce points out that Hebrews' better language is covenantal and Christological. The better things are those that spring from the better priest, the better promise, the better hope. These better things are not optional ornaments on a barren branch. They are the living leaves of a living tree. Faith that clings to Christ, love that serves his people, hope ripened by obedience, and the perseverance that presses on. Where salvation is present, these companions are never absent. Consider James 2 verse 17. Kittle reminds us that the preacher's pivot is pastoral rhetoric in service of theology. He distinguishes without discarding, encouraging the weak while exposing the counterfeit. These believers have not merely stood in the rain. Something living has taken root. The parable's useful crop, chapter 6 verse 7, now has a name: love that labors, faith that serves, hope that keeps going. Second, God's righteous remembrance of love. For God is not unjust to forget your work and the love that you showed for his name in serving the saints, as you still do. Here is the granite beneath the garden. Assurance rests not on the volatility of our feelings, but on the justice of our God. Hodge and Schreiner both press the force of the phrase, not unjust. God's faithfulness binds him to remember what his grace has produced. He will not misplace a single act of Christ-wrought love. The grammar is beautiful in its balance. Love toward his name expressed by serving his people. Hughes calls this the simplest test of the most profound reality. Devotion to Christ becomes diaconal toward Christ's body. The present tense, as you still do, matters. Hendrickson notices that perseverance is woven into the memory of God. This is not the wage of merit, but the witness of mercy. God remembers because grace is truly at work. God is not unjust is covenant language. He binds himself to remember what his Spirit has wrought for his name. To forget would be to deny his promise and his Son. Consider 2 Timothy 2 verse 13. His remembrance is not sentimentality, but holy fidelity. Longenecker and Doriani draw the line straight. The crop blessed in verse 7 is not applause or platform, but the quiet ministries God never forgets. Mercy offered, burdens shared, saints served for his sake. Barnes paraphrases the reassurance well. God is not unrighteous to overlook what he himself has stirred. Third, diligent imitation until hope is full-grown. And we want each one of you to show the same diligence so as to realize the full assurance of hope to the very end. The call is personal, each one, because discipleship is never generic. The antidote to sluggishness is not guilt, but grace-driven diligence, steady effort sustained by the Spirit. Pleirophoria tes, elpidos, is no fragile feeling. It is the settled certainty of a pledged future. The sun must rise because God has spoken. Such assurance grows not by staring inward at our pulse, but by walking forward in faithful steps, learning the old rhythm of the saints who, through faith and patience, inherit the promises. Faith taking hold of the unseen, patience holding on when delayed. Their lives teach us the tempo of grace. Promises take time, glory follows groaning, and waiting becomes worship in slow motion. And we want each one of you to show the same diligence so as to realize the full assurance of hope to the very end, so that you may not become sluggish. The exhortation carries continuity with chapter 5 verse 11, where the same word, notroi, described spiritual dullness. Sluggishness seldom shouts, it scrolls. It appears as curated spirituality without costly service, as doctrinal consumption without diaconal compassion, as a calendar full of Christian content, but a weak light on Christian love. The positive command follows, be imitators of those who, through faith and patience, inherit the promises. They did not inherit by strength, but by staying. Faith taking hold of the unseen, patience holding on when delayed. Their lives teach us the tempo of grace. Promises take time, glory follows groaning, and waiting is worship in slow motion. They did not inherit because they were strong, but because they kept trusting a strong God. The path to blessing is paved with waiting. The delay is not denial, and the silence is not absence. Keep walking, keep serving, keep hoping. The promise is not lost, it is coming. Reflections for today. It is striking that assurance arrives here not as a mood, but as a mirror. The preacher does not peer into their private thoughts. He points to their public love. In a world that measures sincerity by intensity, Hebrews measures it by ministry. Love for the name becomes love for his people. Perhaps this is the searching word we need. When spiritual confidence wanes, we often look inward for a brighter feeling, when the text sends us outward to a bolder serving. Assurance grows in the going. Consider how this touches our weary present. We have many reasons to retreat. Noise that frays the nerves, headlines that haunt our prayers, habits that hollow the heart. Sluggishness rarely announces itself with a trumpet. It slips in on soft feet as resignation, as routine without reverence, as learning without love. The call here is gentle but unyielding. Keep loving the saints for his name. Keep shouldering needs no one notices. Keep sowing where applause will never grow. The God who is not unjust will not forget. There is also balm for troubled consciences. Some hear a warning and imagine they have fallen beyond the Father's face. But notice how the preacher comforts. He names their love. He sanctifies the ordinary. Visits, meals, prayers, shared tears, stubborn kindnesses, as the very evidences God remembers. Assurance is not the wage of the spectacular, but the fruit of faithful simplicity made holy by a faithful God. And do not miss the medicine of imitation. We are not meant to invent our way through endurance. We are meant to inherit. Read the old roads again. Abraham's long wait, Joseph's long winter, the long list of those who walked by faith when sight was thin. Their stories are not museum pieces, but maps. When your hope feels paper thin, lay it over theirs and trace. Faith and patience are not glamorous, but they are glorious. They are the slow, strong steps by which pilgrims reach promises. Finally, let the pairing of justice and gentleness steady your soul. God is not unjust to forget. Therefore, you need not be frantic to be seen. God gives full assurance. Therefore, you need not manufacture a mood. Keep loving. Keep imitating. Keep moving. Hope ripens on such branches. Conclusion. Hebrews 6 verses 9 to 12 is a holy hand on the back, steady, warm, and firm. It distinguishes the better things that always walk with salvation from the passing glitter of mere experience. It anchors assurance not in our oscillating hearts, but in God's righteous remembrance of love done for His name. And it calls us into the long obedience of hope, diligent, patient, imitative, until the promises are not only believed but borne. Let the whole passage ring again in your soul. Better things received, a faithful God remembered, and the long obedience that brings hope to harvest. Beloved, your Father will not forget what His Spirit has formed. Keep loving, keep imitating, and hope will grow up into song. Assurance does not evaporate in the heat. It deepens like roots beside living water, until hope stands full-grown and the harvest sings.